Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. I am Kevin Keatsman, your humble host, in for an hour before the Vince Show. Ooh, we got some tasty topics today. It's going to be fun. And you get Friday. You not only get Friday, Kev, you get Diet Coke, Kev, today. I had a Diet Coke this morning. I didn't have any tea brewed at the house for my iced tea early this morning, so I woke up with a Diet Coke, and it just changes my entire day. So if it sounds like I'm on something today and very excited, I apologize for that. But it's better to be overexcited on radio than dead falling asleep. And I'm going to try my best to keep Garner awake today and for Mark because he didn't get any sleep last night. There's
very little.
Very little. I think longer hours of bad sleep here at the radio station might have been better than driving home and back. But we really appreciate the hustle. We had a great event with Guy Benson last night.
Yeah, it was fun.
Seems like a really good dude. I mean,
and Boulevard it's an amazing place.
It really is.
I love that place.
Yeah. That room has a great view of the skyline.
It does. It's beautiful. It's
I'm not big on the Ferris wheel. I don't know who rides on it or whatever, but it looked kind of cool out the windows.
Yeah.
So, way to go, Kansas City. All right, on the podcast today, we got some good topics. In just a couple of moments, why Department of Homeland Safety chicks rock. I'm going to make T-shirts that say DHS chicks rock. That will be our lead here in a moment after we talk about the Guy Benson event. Later, Joe Rogan has come out with some information about what happened during COVID with his relationship with Spotify. You won't believe who called Spotify and tried to get him to stop talking about what he was talking about during COVID. And we'll check in with Garner at the end. And I got some good topics here, including the Missouri football team that did a Christian mission just a few weeks ago in Jamaica. They built a house, and the 60 members of the Missouri football team and staff built a house in one day.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
On a Christian ministry. We'll talk a little bit about it. We got great stuff today. Good stuff. First, let's talk just briefly, and I know we did with Pete a couple moments ago, about the event last night. It must be said that, first and foremost, the people that listen to this radio station are incredible. This reminds me I've only been here 7 months. It feels just like 1997 when we were starting the first all-sports radio station in Kansas City. And I think it's pretty obvious Pete Mundo has started the first conservative talk station in Kansas City. Have there been stations that had conservative talk? Yes, it was all syndicated. It was Rush Limbaugh owned the airwaves forever here. But to build a local station and cover the news the way he does and be on the stories that he does and have the connections and everything he does and what he's built with this radio station it doesn't exist in every city. I'm just going to tell you right now. And I know Pete doesn't exist in every city. He just doesn't. And it's been a marvel to watch him work every day and how hard he works while he's raising his kids. And so we're about the same age. I was a little bit younger than him. I had 3 kids. When we started the sports radio thing, I think I was 32. I think Pete says he's 36. So the similarities, and for me, this is all just like memory lane and deja vu. What was different was last night's event in a couple of ways. One, there weren't any haters there. We used to do a lot of events in sports radio, and people think you hate their team. That's okay. That's just part of the beast that is sports radio. But we owned the company, and we ran it, and we were young, and in a lot of ways, we didn't know what we were doing. There were times that was a great thing, and there were times it was a bad thing. Largely when we did events like last night, we tried to overdo it. We tried too hard. This thing was perfect. Clearly, these people here know exactly what they're doing. Nick Miranda, who I haven't known for very long, was really guiding the ship on this thing, doing all the ticket sales, the reservations, seating people, everything. The whole thing was flawless, which was great. I bring this up because if you didn't go and you thought, well, I don't know, I've never been to one of these things, it could be uncomfortable or awkward, or I don't like social situations, or the price is prohibitive or something like that, there was not a person there that felt any of that. It is so comfortable to be around listeners of this particular station. We have a common bond between us, and it was felt no matter who you spoke with last night. We had folks in jeans and trucker caps, and we had folks in suits, and nobody cared. It was perfect. It couldn't have been better. Guy Benson was terrific. He's got, and Pete's the same way. They're both originally from the East Coast, but they've got this conservative sensibility. And really, when we talk about the Midwest or Kansas, this drives me crazy when liberals say, oh, we're Kansas Cityans. Well, you're really not like most people from the Midwest if you're a liberal. You're just not. And so it doesn't surprise me at all that Guy Benson came in here and has been, in New York his whole life or whatever, and connects immediately with people from Kansas City. It doesn't. Conservatism is very Midwest culture, and he's like that. And it came across, and he was really funny at times last night. Really, really funny. John Anthony was wearing pink. It was just fantastic. For a guy, like, I was talking to a buddy, and he says, you just get to a point in your life where you can pull off anything. You can wear whatever you want. Like, I'm trying to be radio boy. I put on a nice shirt and a jacket, trying to be something that I'm really not like that very often, right? I don't wear jackets very often. John rolls in looking like Miami Vice. He's got the pink shirt on and the jacket and the whole deal, and he just couldn't have looked cooler. It looked like something that you would maybe wear to like a rock station event or something, and it was great. And we saw a little bit of everything. So I've got my tribute shirt on today. This is the closest I could come, John. Here is the pink flamingos on the golf shirt. It's the best I could do. It's not nearly as cool as what you had on last night, but that's okay. It's the way it goes. And the staff was great. We appreciate everybody that came out, and I would encourage you the next time we do one of these events to partake in it. And I think they're going to get bigger. I think the crowds will get bigger, and there's no reason for us to not celebrate who and what we are and have a great night. And it was just terrific. Donna Baker, the big boss lady, was there. That was impressive. She's busy and has been dealing with a lot of stuff, and she was there, and we really appreciate that. I met Steve, the plumbing pro, last night. He sat at our table. It was great to meet Steve. He's a great guy. He started his company from the ground up and got to a point, I think, where he said he had maybe 60 employees at one point. It's a little fewer than that now. Mark was there from Best Offer KC, Mark Delatour, and we had a great chat. I think he got his ear talked off by my buddy Tony, who was at our table last night. I texted Mark this morning about 5:30 or 5:45. I said, dude, I hope my boy Tony didn't talk your ear off last night. He goes, it was a great conversation. I think they talked about golf and politics all night, which was great. Kerry Hall was there, America's healthcare advocate. You can hear his show on the weekends here on KCMO. It was just a beautiful, wonderful night. All right, on to the stuff. Oh, and by the way, it was a 50-50 crowd. At one point, Guy Benson said, how many people from Kansas? Raise your hand. And half the room raised their hand. How many people from Missouri? The other half. It was right dead down the middle. It was pretty cool. On to why DHS chicks rock. Kristi Noem is the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, and she was basically attacked yesterday by a senator from California named Alex Padilla, who was elected by 0 people in the state of California. He has 0 votes behind his name. He's never been elected to the Senate. Dianne Feinstein croaked, and they put him in there. He's never received a vote to be there. This is what they decided they're going to send from California. He goes busting into her news conference. He plows through security guys. This is an administration that receives death threats every day for every member of the cabinet, and a sitting president who's been shot in the head and had another sniper on a golf course try to take him out. And yes, their tents and their security is real. Let me tell every liberal out there one thing. If you think it's going to be hard to riot in L.A. or any other city, don't even try to get to member of the cabinet. This dude busts in. Nobody knows who he is because they shouldn't. He's not dressed like a senator. Damn sure isn't acting like a senator. And he's going after Kristi Noem because he's going to find out why they're arresting these illegal alien felons in his state of California. He's trying to make a name for himself. He's trying to get elected. He is grandstanding, and it's terrible. They rush him out of the room. You didn't see it, but they put him down on the ground, and they cuffed him and detained him because they couldn't believe him, and he apparently didn't have his ID. You're supposed to wear your Senate pin and everything everywhere. You didn't do that. He literally looked like somebody coming in to do harm to her, and they're making a big deal out of this on the left. It's absurd. So it happened on the same day that Kim Kardashian, who once was like a pretty good friend of Trump's, she worked with Trump 1.0 to free people from prison that she thought were wrongly imprisoned, and he brought her to the White House, and she worked on this council and said, give me names. We'll look into every one of them. He wound up pardoning a bunch of people that Kim Kardashian said you need to pardon. And from that, Kim Kardashian's work with Donald Trump, from that, he now has a pardon czar and has a whole department that's working on pardoning people that are imprisoned for too long or falsely imprisoned. Kim Kardashian put Trump on that, and he got it done because he's a compassionate man. So she slams him on social media about ICE. She slams ICE in, by default, the Trump presidency, and says what they're doing is, quote, inhumane. And now a woman named Tricia McLaughlin, who is Kristi Noem's right-hand chick, I'm not being sexist, I'm having fun here, okay? Because DHS chicks rock. Tricia comes out from DHS, and she posts late yesterday, which one would you like to stay in the USA? is the question, and sends it to Kim Kardashian on X. She has a picture of a murderer that's an illegal alien, a picture of a rapist that's an illegal alien, a picture that's a child molester that's an illegal alien, and a picture of a drug trafficker that's an illegal alien, and sends it off to Kim Kardashian and says, which one do you want us to keep? Pick one. Point taken. That's how you win this. This is going to be a long process. We have to re-educate the American public because the liberals have bent everybody's minds out of whack. That we are a nation of laws, that illegal aliens, first of all, can't be here. They've broken the law to be here. You can be deported just for being here illegally. That's a fact. That's a law. Trump hasn't done that yet. He's going after the criminals. He may get to the rest. He's hoping they'll self-deport at this point. And he wants some of the people that have been here illegally to find a way to extend work visas or stay longer because they've been here for a long time and they're necessary people that we want to have here and work towards citizenship. They will not give this man a chance on the left. They are so intensely crazed by this man, it doesn't matter what he does, they just go after him. And for Kim Kardashian to do this after what he's done with pardoning prisoners, which was her big issue, was falsely imprisoned people. Tricia McLaughlin rocks. Kristi Noem rocks. It's amazing to watch these women run this department. Oh, yeah, it's a stronghold. He's a king. The king has a couple of women in charge of DHS that are running this operation, finding these people and doing all this, and they're incredible. And it was the most powerful post you'll see this week, maybe this year, to Kim Kardashian, of all people, saying, well, pick one. Who do you want to stay in the USA if this is humane? The murderer, the rapist, the child molester, or the drug trafficker? I love this administration. These arguments are easy. We're winning. 913-408-7957, the number to call. 913-408-7957. If you were at the event last night, many of you came up and said, I could never call a show. I could never call. We say in the business, 1 in 1,000 listeners will have the guts to call a show. If you were there last night and want to comment on what you saw, I'd love to hear from you. 913-408-7957. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. So when we were in school, we used to take these tests. They'd be check which A, B, C, D, right? Pick one. Which one doesn't belong? Flag Day, Trump's birthday, Army's 250th birthday, No King's Day. It's like, what is No King's Day? It's coming to Kansas City, and it's going to be in many different places tomorrow. And I think, I was going to swing by the one in Lenexa because I figured it would be up by Lenexa City Center. These people are so bad at what they do. They're jamming it into Sarco Park where there's no place to park, and you're going to have to park like a long ways away and walk. I don't think that's going to work for these folks. I think they're going to I have to park this far away. I'm not going to the rally today. No, thanks. I don't know. We'll see what happens in Lenexa. I may try to swing by, but that thing gets pretty crowded for events over by there and trafficy, and that's one of the things that I avoid. It's really why I moved to Lenexa in the 90s, and now Lenexa is getting crowded, and we have a liberal mayor. Oh, it's so exciting in Lenexa to have a liberal mayor. She's bringing so many cool things like a homeless shelter to a La Quinta Inn and No Kings rallies. So I'm trying to find out where this thing is, and I couldn't find out. I like literally, I'm like, okay, I heard there's going to be one in Lenexa. What time? Where is it? These people have built apparently this is a big site for liberals. It's called Find a Protest, which is perfect because this is supposed to be about ICE and illegal immigration. That's what we're supposed to be discussing, but it's not. If you go to findaprotest.info, I assume if you're a liberal, you just want to find a protest. You can go there and find something. And I don't know that it's all that specific to the cause. Like, if you're upset about ICE, you can also go to a pride parade. You can go get your anger out there with those folks you're all together. What has happened in this country, and the reason they have sites now like findaprotest.info is every single one of these is about nothing except Donald Trump. And it doesn't mean every sign's going to be about Donald Trump, but that's all this is. These people have gone out of their way to make it very clear. They wrote a synopsis of what it is that they're doing. They're protesting, quote, authoritarian excess in Lenexa. Well, that's not an ICE rally. That's not an immigration rally. They're done with Trump. This is just anti-Trump. That's all these people are. And I don't want to take a victory lap, but I predicted that earlier this week. I said, I think I might have been the first person you say it. These are not ICE rallies. These people are not upset that ICE went in and deported felons. Nobody can be upset with that. Not one person in the country. And if they should get their heads examined. They should get therapy right away. If you have a problem with ICE detaining an illegal alien that's a convicted rapist or murderer and sending them out of the country, you need therapy. You need help. Nobody protests that. This was just an excuse for people to get mad again at Trump. And where they missed the boat is they should have done this in November. They could have done it on Inauguration Day. No, they waited for something that looked bad visually. It's organized. These people sat back in the weeds for 8 months, and they waited, and they waited, and they said, oh, look at this. Here's some people throwing rocks at cops. We got mayhem. We can call him an authoritarian. He's a kingmaker. He's all these other things that we hate about Donald Trump, and so now we can go after him. But it never really had anything to do with ICE or deporting illegal aliens that have committed crimes. It was never, ever about that, and it has quickly morphed into, at least the one in Lenexa, they're saying authoritarian excess is what they're upset with. They're talking about Donald Trump. Here's Stephen in KCK on Uncanceled. Happy Friday to you, Stephen. How are you, buddy?
Hey, Kevin. I had tickets last night to the Royals, or else I would have been out there. For the event.
Wow.
What for the life of me? What do you think? This is what's been bugging me all week. What is the end game of Gavin Newsom here? I for the life of me, I cannot figure out. His polls are so low. He's running below everybody. You know, he's in single digits in polls. Is this just sort of like a throw everything up against the wall and put your citizens at risk just to be president?
Yes.
I mean, this is unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this. It's hard for me to go back. I mean, you and I have been following politics a long time. I'm talking 30 or 40 years. This is the most reckless act I think I've seen in 30 or 40 years.
Well, let's update.
And I'm not,
For our listeners,
I can't
hang
think
on,
of
Stephen.
anything.
I know. Hang on. Let me update our listeners a little bit. There was almost nothing last night in Los Angeles. They arrested 20 people for unlawful display or whatever. They put them all in one bus and they hauled them off. The mayor, who's a liberal, Karen Bass, has put in a curfew from 8 until 6. And it's amazing when the liberals say, we have a curfew, don't come down here, we're going to arrest you for whatever. Nobody showed up. They had no problem. Like, if they just enforced their own laws, there'd be no need for Trump to be involved in this. That's ultimately what's happening now. So it's cleaned up, or at least for now. The weekend may change. People get crazy on the weekend. We'll see. But there was no real problem last night. They arrested 20 people for unlawful assembly. They put them in one wagon, hauled them away. Those are misdemeanors. There was no violence. There was none of that because there's a curfew in place. So if the Democrats would just jump on board with Trump on the things that matter most, we get rid of most of our problems in this country. Where you're right about Gavin Newsom. Where he goes wrong and where he's really failing as a politician is, I asked this question earlier this week, who's gone up against Trump and won? Nobody's beaten the guy. You can say Joe Biden won an election, but when this is all said and done, who came out on top, Trump or Biden? Anybody that goes after Trump loses. We saw an ABC reporter get fired this week. We watched Elon Musk apologize because he knows he's going to lose. If he stays up against Trump, he'll have pissed off both parties. You don't go up against Donald Trump. And why, if you're going to run for president in 2 years, why would you be on Trump right now? Why would you care? Let it go, man.
And add Simone Biles to that list,
of course.
Too, you know,
yes.
Indirectly. I think what's exceptionally crazy about this is they were inciting other jurisdictions at the same time. So now Missouri has to pull up probably nothing's going to happen tomorrow, but Missouri now has to pull up the National Guard because of the stupidity that's been going on in California with Karen Bass, America's DEI mayor, and Gavin Newsom. So,
I got to stop you there, buddy. We're up against the break. Yeah. Awesome call, Stephen. I appreciate it. You have a great weekend and a great Father's Day as well. Really good stuff. I don't think we're going to have problems here locally. I don't. And I don't think Mayor Q wanted anybody to know that he's out of the country. I think they wanted us to think that he is on it. Uncanceled continues on KCMO. Hey, thanks for giving us a listen every day, and thanks for all the kind shout-outs. Many of you have reached out through emails, calling the show, seeing you in person. We appreciate you listening every day. Very kind of you to welcome me back to the radio. It's been a few months now, but we still got some folks that didn't know and are tuning in, saying, hey, good to have you back on the radio. And that's just so kind. We really greatly appreciate that. Certainly, I'm no Joe Rogan, right, who's got millions and millions of podcast followers and has become a big deal. And I want you to know where you heard this first, all right? Don't count him out for running for president next time around. We talk a lot about how do you replace Trump? Well, a lot of people can replace the policies and the politics of it all, but how do you get, what are we going to call the alpha male vote to turn out like it has? And young people and crossing over into minority voters. Joe Rogan's a stand-up comedian. He's a ring announcer. He's a broadcaster. He's a podcaster. He's got that it thing to him that maybe other candidates like Ron DeSantis don't have, which really shines on stage when debating or whatever. Now, would he want to do it? I don't know. Does he know the policy well enough? The dude's a broadcaster. You can get... Guy Benson was asked a couple of questions last night that were a little uncomfortable, about like people at Fox News or whatever. That you're in public, you can't really answer them. I think John would have noticed this. Pete probably noticed. Garner maybe, the people that work in radio. But most people there wouldn't notice how deftly he handled and worked his way around those things. Broadcasters have a way of working around them better than most politicians. Most politicians just get stumped and do that. Well, Trump's never been that guy. J.D. Vance doesn't get stumped. So there's a few that do, but my goodness, we sat here and watched John McCain and Mitt Romney run for president, and they would never say one negative thing about Barack Obama. Like, you can't win that way. You just can't. You got to fight, and you got to play that fight. So Joe Rogan might be somebody that if he decides to run, fills that void of somebody who can be funny, personable, quick on his feet, that could get votes. I only bring that up because he's clearly into this now, and he's been very close to it and is close to President Trump. A lot of people that could run are close to President Trump, clearly. But Rogan said something really interesting this week in an interview on somebody else's podcast. He said during COVID, he said, I was sick for 3 days, and he went and took ivermectin, and Trump took hydroxychloroquine or whatever. It was very controversial. Remember, like, oh, Trump's crazy. He's taking this crazy hydroxy thing over at Walter Reed. Like, I think I know the hundreds and millions and billionaire class are not going to take anything that's dangerous. Then Joe Rogan, he's taking horse pills. It's veterinary medicine. It was such fake news. And so Rogan blasted these people, and he won the argument, and time has proven him right and people on the right correct about COVID. That's indisputable at this point. He just said this week that during that time, he works for Spotify. His contract is with Spotify. Joe Rogan's is. 2 former presidents contacted Spotify and tried to get him off the air during COVID. They didn't want anything out there other than the liberal narrative for COVID. Remember, we are science. Fauci saying, I am science. We are science. You don't argue science. The left always tries to tell you that it's fact. There is no differing opinion. Anybody else that has a differing opinion is a complete whack job. And they did that masterfully during COVID. But people have learned. And Joe Rogan saying 2 presidents contacting the head of Spotify, trying to get Rogan off of Spotify or just to censor him, leads you to believe that these were Democrat presidents. But I'm going to ask a question because I don't know the answer. Rogan wouldn't say who they were. To me, that's a red flag. Why would you not say which 2 presidents they are? Especially if it's like Obama and Clinton, let's say. Why wouldn't you say that? And it was very clear it was former presidents. Could have been George W. Bush. That wouldn't surprise me. Jimmy Carter was still alive, but I don't think he could have made a phone call. I don't know. What if one of them was Trump? What if Trump called and said, hey, listen, this is bad. We need people to take the shot. Because remember, Trump is no longer president at this point, and he's the guy who was taking credit for getting the vaccine done in warp speed time and getting it out there for people. He's always wanted, I slipped up. I don't use the word vaccine when I talk about COVID. It is not it is in no way is it a vaccine by any definition of the word. So the shot, whatever it is they were pumping people full of from different pharmaceutical companies, was never a vaccine. But is it possible Trump was one of them? I wonder, or maybe the people at Spotify didn't tell Joe Rogan, but I just thought that was a weird story that he said 2 former presidents contacted Spotify and either wanted me off the air or censored for what I was talking about COVID. And I really want to know who the presidents were. I think that matters. Folks, if you can figure this one out, we see miracles and wonder about miracles in the world. And some of them, we just scratch our head. Most people think of a miracle as being an act of God. They pour into their faith and say, this is the reason something happened. I'm trying to figure out how that one dude survived that plane crash yesterday. If you've seen the video of that 787 from India Airlines going to the ground, it clearly lost engine and hydraulics in some fashion. This is a bad airline. That particular airliner, that particular plane was cited for poor maintenance on June 3rd and June 5th, and then crashed on June 11th, June 12th? And had been completely shut down in December for maintenance issues. This airline was not good at maintaining its aircraft. This is not a Boeing problem. That aircraft has had no problems. This could be an airline problem. But they're also asking, was this airplane sabotaged? Was this airline so loose with the rules? Were there people that had access to this airplane that rigged something that made that happen? Most of the experts are saying it'd be unusual to lose like the engine and hydraulics and have a plane just go like that. There was also a piece flying off the airplane before it hit the ground. You can see that on some of the videos. I don't know. I'm just bringing it up because I don't like it when things are kept from us or hidden from us. If this was sabotage, Pakistan and India have been fighting. They've had a war going on that's at a ceasefire right now. If it was something like that, with an American-made jet going to England through a group of airlines called Star Alliance, it makes you wonder. I don't know. It looks like initially this is a really bad airline. But I can't figure out. That guy was an 11A. Isn't A an aisle seat? And he says he doesn't remember or know how this happened. You would have to be ejected from the plane by the beginning of the explosion before any flames or any of that hit you. Wouldn't you have to be thrown so far from where the explosion is that you'd probably die or break your neck or something landing on the ground? I can't figure this out. I guess I believe the story, but it is an unbelievable story. This might be the most unbelievable story of our lifetime. That thing was a bomb that hit the ground. The entire thing exploded except the tail where nobody sits. Okay, the tail was intact because it went into a building and it all exploded and the tail stayed. Basically, it was the exhaust, like the exhaust pipe of the aircraft at the back stayed, and that was it. This dude, I guess, still had his ticket. The ticket wasn't burned. I don't get any of it. It's the most unbelievable thing ever. If you haven't seen the video, and I know a lot of folks don't want to watch these videos and whatnot, just trust me. When you see the explosion of that massive aircraft that was completely full of fuel, there was nobody else injured. They didn't rescue a couple of people and get them to the hospital or they died on their way. No, like everybody blew up. All right, this was horrific. Nobody felt anything. They all died instantly except one guy that walked away from it. Just so you know who your host is, I'm inquisitive. I'm curious. I'm not calling BS on this guy or this story. I don't know how these things happen. By all accounts, it's true. I just want to know how. I want to see the science behind it. How can you be an 11A and that's the seat that you walk away? I mean, you literally walk away to the ambulance. They take you to the hospital. Then you do interviews in your hospital bed about what happened. He said he heard a loud noise 30 seconds before it blew up. Well, I don't know about that. I don't think that plane was in the air 30 seconds. It might have been 30 seconds, but it only got to 600 feet. That's a wild one. And plane crashes, to me, it's almost always human error or human caused. It was pilot error in Washington, D.C. That was a human mistake. Airplanes are safe. They're very safe. And this probably was human error from an airline that didn't maintain its aircraft. There was no reason for this. This has been one of the best, biggest people haulers in the world with an outstanding safety record. So it was very surprising to see that and the one guy that lived. Father's Day is on Sunday. We hope that you celebrate however you do, dads. And ladies in the audience, if you have a husband or a dad yourself, make sure you tell them you love them. Let them have a little space. They don't want much. I can tell you dads don't want much on Father's Day. Mostly they just like a day of peace. No work. Don't tell me to go, trim these bushes or do what. Just let's take a day off from the routine. That's really what most dads want. I talked about this about an hour ago with Pete on his show. My dad passed away in 99, and I don't believe in life is fair or not fair. You just can't do that. I thought my dad was pretty young to die. He died at 72. But I have a friend. He's not a really close, a very great friend who I've known since I was a kid. Works for a local company called Ambrose, and he's been with him forever. And he worked for a man named Greg Ambrose, who died in 2016 at the age of 59 after battling cancer. And Greg's son, Matt, took over the family business. It is a great local company. And I didn't know Greg, but today out at Sycamore Ridge Golf Course is the annual Greg Ambrose Charity Classic that they host in honor of Greg Ambrose, who is Matt's dad. Matt and my friend Cato and some other people, we've played golf together. I know Matt. He's a great guy, and he does this tournament every year to honor his dad on Father's Day weekend. They raise a lot of money. His company's involved. The company puts money in. People pay money to play in this golf tournament. And then the money goes to FamilyReach.org and BradensHope.org. It's cancer charities. And if you'd like to learn more, the website is AmbroseCC.org. That stands for Charity Classic. That's their golf course or golf classic website. Ambrose is AMBROSE, AmbroseCC.org, to learn more about Greg, who died at age 59. He was one of the best people ever. He placed a huge emphasis on family, but he was one of these guys that had a local business, dozens of employees, that treated his employees like family. When they had problems, he wanted to help, and he lived that way. And he fought and he fought and he fought cancer, and he died too young at age 59. And I know Matt. He's like, I'm not changing the world. I'm not going to raise so much money, like the Stower Center for Cancer Research or whatever. But my dad died of cancer. I want to remember him every year. We're going to have this golf tournament. Our company is going to support this, and it's going to go to great causes like Family Reach and Braden's Hope. And I think that's really cool. And I kind of wish I'd have thought of it for my dad, because I've missed my dad every day since he passed away in 1999. And the hard part about losing your dad when you've lived in one place your whole life is you think of him every day because visually you see something that reminds you of your dad. It can be the simplest things. It could be driving by, one of these frozen custard places where there's kids sitting outside getting ice cream with their parents, and you think, wow, I used to go down to, Velvet Freeze down in Mission and get an orange sherbet with my dad on a sugar cone, because of course we did. Just the real tiny little simple things. Driving by a place that is, now a dry cleaner that used to be a barbecue restaurant when we were kids. Anything like that. The ball fields tear me up every time. I drive by Johnson County 3 and 2. I can't count the days. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of days we spent there. Between me and my brother and sister, we all played ball. The things that we did. Dads are awesome. Not everybody had a great dad. I had a great dad. He worked very hard. He instilled that into all 4 of his children by not telling us to work hard. He never got on us about our grades. We were all good enough students. It was never really spoken. He was a tough dad, a fair dad, a loving dad, and you never questioned him. He was right. My mom continues to just be the most wonderful person on earth. She's just such a sweetheart. She would have never considered. When my dad died, she had people that she knew in her circle. She met new people. Men would ask her, hey, let's go to lunch or go to dinner. No. When my dad died, that part of her life died too. It's a ridiculous love story. I'm just really blessed to have had great parents. And I don't know why. I think because my dad passed first, Father's Day chokes me up more than Mother's Day. And I'll be thinking of my dad this Father's Day. And for all the dads out there, hug your kids, tell them you love them. And for everybody with a dad that isn't a dad yet, let them know. It's not a big holiday. This isn't Christmas. I get it. Dads don't want a lot of attention or a lot of recognition, but they sure like hearing about it on Father's Day. That they're loved, and especially from grown kids, thank you for what you taught me. It's the best a dad can do. We need all the great dads in this country we can get. One of the big problems in our society is we have fewer dads. Well, we have plenty of people that are out there creating babies, but we just don't have a lot of fathers. And so celebrate the family, celebrate families that stay intact, celebrate marriage, and celebrate Father's Day. This is Uncanceled. We'll continue on KCMO Talk Radio right after this. Hey, we're back. It's all good on this Friday on Uncanceled. The Vince Show is coming right up. We are presented today by bestofferkc.com, helping you leave the hassle behind. Mark Delatour from bestofferkc.com was at our table last night. I've mentioned a couple times he's a really good golfer. He is qualified to play in the Missouri Amateur coming up in a couple of weeks in Columbia, Missouri. So congratulations, Mark. Keep hitting them straight. And he is a straight shooter, and he's all about your happiness as well. When it's time for you to sell a house quickly, bestofferkc.com is your best chance in Kansas City to get it right. They've never, ever backed out of an offer. What they offer you stands, and they'll help you no matter your situation. Usually you need to go in a hurry for whatever reason, whether it's personal or medical, and they'd love to work with you and your family. If you know somebody that needs to get a house moved fast, 816-844-6224 or online at bestofferkc.com, helping you leave the hassle behind. The Missouri football team recently made a trip to Jamaica. Not all of them. There was about 45 players and 15 staff members, including Eli Drinkwitz and some team captains. This was a Christian ministry with a group that is, I don't know if you say it's based here in Kansas City, but I know Daniel Hanks, who is their director, national director, with onebyonetoJamaica.org is the name of the organization. And they're awesome. It's in this place called Harmon's, Jamaica. It's the best way to describe it is it's like up in the mountainous area in the woods, very remote area where people are poor and need help. This is not a trip to the beach, okay? That's not what you hear Jamaica and you think about resorts. That's not what this is. It's flying to Kingston, get on a rickety bus for an hour and a half and get to some parts that are really hard to get to and help the people that live there. And the Missouri football team did this. And today on my podcast, Kevin Keatsman Has Issues. If you're a Mizzou fan, you'll want to hear this. Or if you are Christian and want to hear about this ministry and the work that they do, Daniel is my guest on the podcast today and tells the story of the Missouri football team, that guys with no real skill in this area, they built a house for a family in one day. Now, they were there for a week, so they did a lot of different things. Most of it was stuff they'd never done before. It was chopping limbs. It was carrying giant sandbags and things like that. It was like real work, but it's a really interesting conversation if you want to hear it. It's at my podcast today. Kevin Keatsman Has Issues. Kudos to Eli Drinkwitz and the Missouri football program for teaching young men about this and taking them on a mission about helping others. That's doing the work and not talking the talk. I like that. A lot of people talk about this stuff, Garner. I love it when people actually take action and do things.
Right. No, it's good to build houses.
Like you working all night last night. You weren't talking about doing it.
I don't think that that's as important as building a house. But
it was a pretty big deal around these parts, right, where I'm looking around.
I did set up a stage. I don't think that's as close, to building a house.
Was that a first time you've set up a stage?
No.
Okay.
No.
How long did that take?
It took longer to move it in there, really, than to set it up.
Okay.
So,
well, if you wanted to make a funny social media video, you should just video me trying to put that stage together. I can't do anything. I'm terrible at it. This is it. This is all I got. Talking into microphones, all I can do. I'm not kidding. I have no other appreciable skills in the world. None whatsoever. Did you see Travis and Taylor were at the hockey game last night?
No, I didn't.
They went to Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Finals in Florida. They sort of had their own suite. I noticed a couple of security guys in there, but it looked like it wasn't the circle, the cluster of people around them that she has at Arrowhead. I don't know if they bought the whole thing or how it worked, but Travis is renting a $20 million house in Florida right now.
I'm kind of amazed they're still together.
I kind of am too.
Because Taylor Swift kind of burns through them. That's her thing,
I don't even know if I'd go out with her. She just doesn't seem like. She seemed like she's fun.
I mean, I don't know. She seems to date a lot of guys, and then just use them for song material.
Oh, she's gonna have some football songs then. Got that one coming.
I bet she will.
Edmonton tied that series 2-2. That's a pretty cool deal. Congratulations to a man in Alberta. David Sirkin won the lottery for the fourth time. 731,000, 366,000, 731,000, and 183,000. That's his winnings. 3 of those happened in the last 9 months. Gosh. The Vince Show's coming up.